Okay, so uh, formal dining, it's really much more than just the food, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole social experience.
Right, and when English is the main language, how you speak, the words you choose, it suddenly becomes really important.
Definitely. You think about, say, business meetings over dinner,
Or entertaining clients, you
yeah,
really need to make a good impression.
even dates or, any kind of formal gathering.
In those moments, your language isn't just about getting information across, it's a big part of how you come across.
Exactly. And that's where language etiquette comes in. We're talking about those unspoken rules, the social conventions for polite interaction.
And they feel even more significant in a formal restaurant setting.
They really do. It's not just about having perfect grammar, though that helps. It shows you understand the culture, you respect the norms, it shapes perceptions.
So, for this deep dive, our mission is really to unpack that, to find the practical advice, the key insights into English language etiquette for these dining situations.
Yeah, to help you, the listener, navigate them confidently.
Confidently, maybe even, elegantly. And it's not about learning loads of obscure words.
No, not at all. It's about being respectful, being clear, and showing tact.
Okay, where do we start? Right at the beginning. The arrival.
Makes sense. That first impression, a polite greeting sets the stage immediately.
Like a handshake.
Often, yes. Though you need to be mindful of cultural comfort levels there, of course.
Good point.
And pairing that with something like, good evening, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Or if you're the one arriving, maybe, thank you for having me tonight.
Exactly. Simple things that show consideration right away.
What about introductions? If you're the host, bringing people together, that can feel a bit formal or awkward sometimes.
It can feel that way, but the main thing is just be clear and welcoming. Make it feel natural.
So maybe for work.
You could say, allow me to introduce Mr. Thompson. He heads up our marketing. Nice and clear.
And more socially.
Maybe just, this is Sarah. She's a good friend from university. The idea is just to make that connection easy and comfortable for everyone.
Right, okay. Greetings, introductions. Done. Now, the part I think many people worry about, especially if English isn't their first language.
Ordering. Interacting with the staff.
Yeah, exactly. There's a nervousness there sometimes.
Totally understandable. But it really just boils down to being, well, courteous and specific.
How so?
Small tweaks in phrasing make a huge difference. Instead of just pointing and saying, wine list.
Troy, may I see the wine list, please?
Precisely. Or when ordering, could I have the grilled salmon, please?
Yeah.
And perhaps without the sauce. It's clear, polite.
And if you need more time.
Would you mind giving us just a few more moments, please? It's courteous, avoids pressure.
And you used please quite a bit there. Those words, please, thank you, excuse me, they seem extra important here.
They really are. They're like the oil in the machine of polite English conversation. Essential.
Okay, but what if?
What if?
What if something goes wrong? Like, the order isn't quite right.
Ah, yes. The moment of truth. How to address it without seeming like you're complaining or being difficult.
It's a balancing act.
It is. Grace is key. So instead of a blunt, this is wrong, which can sound quite harsh.
You could try.
Maybe, excuse me, I'm sorry, I think this might be the wrong dish. It's softer, less confrontational.
Or if the food needs adjusting, like a steak.
You could say, excuse me, I asked for my steak medium rare, but this looks a bit more rare. Would it be possible to perhaps cook it just a little longer?
That sounds very reasonable.
It shows you can handle a small issue politely. It's not just language skill, it's emotional intelligence too.
Okay, food's ordered, hopefully correctly. Now the meal itself, keeping the conversation flowing pleasantly in English in this formal context, that can be a hurdle.
It certainly can. The aim is just pleasant, appropriate conversation. Nothing too heavy or controversial, usually.
So, what topics generally work well?
Well, travel is often a safe bet. The food itself, obviously, maybe art, books, films, general news, perhaps, but you probably want to steer clear of.
Politics, religion.
Yeah, probably best avoided unless you know your dining companions very well and you're sure it's okay. Mutual interests are always good.
So, how do you actually start a conversation? Like, kick it off smoothly without it feeling forced?
Using sentence starters can really help. Gentle ways to invite someone to talk.
Like what? Give me an example.
You could comment on the food. Have you tried the duck confit before? I hear it's meant to be excellent here.
Okay, that's natural.
Or broaden it out a bit. I recently read a great book set in Italy. Have you ever traveled there?
Nice. Connecting it to something else.
Even just an observation about the place. What do you think of the decor? It has a really interesting ambience.
Those work.
Mm.
But conversation is two-way, isn't it? It's not just about talking.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Active listening is maybe half the battle.
How do you show you're listening actively?
Small verbal cues work wonders. Things like, oh, that's fascinating. Could you tell me more about that?
Or even just, really? I had no idea.
Exactly. Or acknowledging their point. That's an interesting thought. I hadn't looked at it that way. It shows you're engaged, you respect their contribution.
Okay, fast forward. The meal is winding down. Is there still etiquette involved right at the end?
Definitely. Expressing appreciation is key to concluding gracefully.
Whether you're the host or the guest.
Both. If you were the guest, a simple "thank you so much for dinner, it was a real treat" goes a long way.
Or, I truly appreciate your hospitality tonight.
Perfect. Sincere and polite.
So what about the staff? Should you thank them too?
Yes, acknowledging good service is a very nice touch. Something like, "The service was excellent, thank you."
Or maybe, please give our compliments to the chef. The food was wonderful.
Exactly. These small phrases, they don't cost anything, but they leave a really positive, lasting impression. Shows class, linguistic poise.
It's clear there's more to this than just knowing basic grammar rules. What other skills help someone really master communication in these formal dining settings?
You're right, it's a package deal. First, building a slightly more formal vocabulary can help.
Not obscure, but appropriate words.
Yeah, words like delightful, recommendation, preference, maybe ambience, compliment, suggestion. They just fit the context well.
Any other vocabulary tips?
Phrasal verbs and common idioms add fluency. Things like make a reservation, go over the menu, or even I took the liberty of ordering some wine for the table. They make you sound more natural.
That makes sense. Sounding comfortable.
Yeah.
What about how you actually say the words? Does tone matter?
Hugely important. Tone and intonation convey so much meaning. A softer, calmer tone usually signals politeness.
And intonation. The rise and fall of your voice.
That expresses things like interest, sincerity, even humility. Practicing saying phrases with a warm, natural intonation can really boost how courteous and confident you sound.
Okay, so it's how you speak, what you say. What about knowing when not to speak?
Listening and turn-taking. Crucial.
Because interrupting is generally frowned upon, right? Especially formally.
Very much so. Good conversation involves give and take, letting others speak, contributing thoughtfully when it's your turn. That shows respect and cultural sensitivity.
And finally, you mentioned cultural awareness earlier. How deep does that go with language etiquette?
It's pretty fundamental. What's polite in one culture might not be in another, even within English-speaking countries sometimes. Pragmatics matter.
Pragmatics, like the underlying meaning.
Yeah, understanding the intention behind the words. For instance, Indirectness is often preferred in English for potentially awkward things.
Give me an example.
Instead of saying, I don't like this wine, which is very direct,
You might say.
perhaps, this isn't quite to my taste, or
Yeah.
it's certainly very robust. It softens the message, avoids causing offense. Understanding those nuances is key to real finesse.
So, pulling it all together, formal dining in English, it's really a stage, isn't it? An opportunity to show your language skills, but also your grasp of these social rules.
Exactly that. It's a mix of polite expressions, good conversational skills, being a genuinely active listener, and having that cultural sensitivity.
And look, mastering all this takes practice, especially if English isn't your native language.
No doubt about it, but the payoff is significant, right?
Yeah.
Smoother interactions, better connections.
Professionally and personally.
Absolute.
Ultimately, it sounds like it really boils down to just being present, being mindful, being polite, and actually engaging with the people you're with.
Well said. That's the core of it. Language, used thoughtfully, can genuinely transform a simple meal into a much more memorable and positive experience.
It really can. So here's something to think about as we wrap up. How might consciously applying some of these language etiquette points change your next formal dining experience? And perhaps more importantly, how might it change the connections you make around that table?